The train was never supposed to be hers. She had boarded it with tears clouding her vision, a heart too heavy to notice the destination displayed above the platform, and a soul so exhausted that she no longer cared where life was taking her. By the time she opened her eyes, the city she had planned to escape had disappeared behind miles of empty countryside, and sitting quietly beside her was a silver-haired stranger whose gentle smile carried the kind of peace she had not seen in years. She thought she had made the biggest mistake of her life. She had no idea that falling asleep on the wrong train was the very moment destiny finally found her. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change lives, that everyone deserves a second chance, and that one small act of compassion can rewrite someone's future, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Your support helps us share more stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Emily Carter had reached the point where every morning felt heavier than the last. At 28 years old, she carried invisible wounds that no one around her ever noticed. The people she passed on crowded sidewalks saw a neatly dressed woman with tired eyes and assumed she had everything under control. They never saw the panic attacks hidden behind restroom doors at work. They never saw the unopened bills stacked on her tiny kitchen table or the lonely dinners eaten in silence beneath a flickering light. Most of all, they never saw the ache left behind by years of believing she would never be enough. Her childhood had taught her to survive, not to dream. She grew up in a house where love was measured by expectations and mistakes were remembered far longer than achievements. Every report card was compared with someone else's. Every success was treated as something that should have happened anyway. By the time she became an adult, she had learned to apologize for taking up space and to hide every emotion behind a practiced smile. She believed adulthood would be different. She believed hard work would eventually earn peace. Instead, it brought endless pressure. She worked late nights in a company where employees were treated like replaceable numbers. Promotions passed her by. New managers took credit for her ideas. Every month became another race to pay rent before her account reached zero. The only bright spot in her life had been the man she thought she would marry. For 4 years she built dreams around him, believing they were walking toward the same future. Then, in a single evening, everything collapsed. She discovered he had been planning a new life with someone else while convincing her that he simply needed space. The apartment they had chosen together became a memory overnight. The future she had imagined disappeared without warning. The heartbreak broke more than her relationship. It shattered her confidence. She began questioning every decision she had ever made. If she could be so wrong about the person she trusted most, what else had she misunderstood about her life? Weeks passed in a blur of sleepless nights and empty mornings. Friends invited her out, but she always declined. Family members offered advice that sounded more like criticism. Eventually, everyone stopped asking if she was okay because her automatic answer never changed. One rainy Friday evening, after another exhausting day at work, Emily walked into the city's central train station with only one goal. She wanted to disappear for the weekend. She didn't know where she was going. She simply bought the first affordable ticket she found and wandered toward the platforms while staring at the floor. Announcements echoed through the station, but they blended into meaningless noise. Hundreds of travelers rushed past carrying luggage and laughing with loved ones. Emily felt invisible among them. She climbed aboard a train moments before the doors closed, found an empty seat by the window, wrapped her coat around herself, and finally allowed the tears she had been holding back all day to fall. The rhythmic sound of the train moving over the tracks slowly drowned out every painful thought. Exhaustion took over. Within minutes, her eyes closed. She never noticed that she had boarded the wrong train. Outside, cities gave way to forests. Busy highways became quiet country roads. The rain stopped, replaced by golden evening light stretching across endless fields. Hours slipped away while Emily slept more peacefully than she had in months. When she finally opened her eyes, everything looked unfamiliar. The passengers around her had changed. The skyline outside had vanished, replaced by rolling hills and distant mountains glowing beneath the setting sun. Panic rushed through her body. Her phone showed no signal. She searched desperately for the route information posted above the door and realized the truth. She was traveling hundreds of miles in the opposite direction. Fear tightened her chest. She had almost no cash. Her battery was nearly dead. She had no hotel reservation and no idea where this train would stop. As anxiety threatened to overwhelm her, she became aware of someone sitting quietly beside her. An elderly man looked out the window with calm eyes that reflected the fading sunlight. His clothes were simple but carefully pressed. A weathered leather notebook rested on his lap, and beside it lay a paper bag containing fresh bread and apples. There was nothing extraordinary about him except the remarkable sense of peace that surrounded him. Without saying a word, he gently slid one of the apples onto the empty seat between them. Emily hesitated. She had spent years learning not to trust strangers. Yet something about his quiet kindness felt different. There was no expectation in his gesture. No hidden motive. Just the simple instinct to care for someone who looked exhausted. Her stomach reminded her she had not eaten since breakfast. She accepted the apple with trembling hands. It was the first meal anyone had offered her without asking for something in return in a very long time. Outside, darkness slowly covered the countryside. Inside the train, Emily found herself breathing a little easier. She still had no idea where she was going. She had no plan. She had no answers. But for the first time in months, she felt something she had almost forgotten. She felt safe. She didn't know it yet, but the quiet stranger beside her carried a story even heavier than her own, and before this journey ended, their unexpected meeting would transform both of their lives forever.